Guys, welcome to another episode of Secured Sessions. Today we are joined again by the lovely Bailey, a mainstay on the pod, and we have a special guest today. We have Michael Anderson, who I will let introduce himself, tell us a little bit about what he does, and then we'll get into it. So tell the people who you are.
So Michael Anderson, I'm the creative director and owner of Boot Up Customs, and I do custom cleats for pro athletes, and I paint on canvas as wood as well.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing art for basically my whole life, but I've been taking it seriously for about the last 6 years.
Growing up, I know you're from Louisiana originally, right? So how did you first get into custom shoes? Were you kind of a sneakerhead growing up? Did you have a favorite shoe? And what spurred that transition into custom shoes?
So my favorite shoe as a kid was like I was a big basketball player, so it was like the T-Mac basketball shoes.
I just have no idea.
I know.
No clue.
I think most people don't.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it all really just started because I was following what I love to do.
Okay.
And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it is, you know, it was never forced. It was never. It's kind of hard to track a little bit, but it's just me following what I love to do. I'm a diehard LSU sports fan.
Nice.
I love art. I love sneakers. I love fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So it all just kind of played out like that.
When you were a kid, you were an athlete. You said you played basketball, right? Did you ever look at shoes back then and think to yourself, oh, I could do this better, or I could change this and make it a little bit better?
So the sneaker portion of it didn't really start until I saw some guys doing cleats on Instagram whenever I was in college.
Was it like the shoe surgeon or someone like that, or someone different?
Yeah, so the shoe surgeons, yeah, he's the GOAT for sure. People when I was at LSU, Odell Beckham was at LSU.
Oh, no way.
Wow. And I had talked to him out one night about doing some custom cleats, and he was down to do it. But at the time, there was no NIL. They couldn't take gifts, and I'd never done it before, so he's not gonna like pay me to do it and whatever else. So it just kind of fell through, and LSU wasn't gonna let him wear them anyway. Fast forward a few years after that, whenever the NIL thing starts, there was an LSU basketball player that was shot and killed at a homecoming party.
Oh my gosh.
And his best friend, who was also on the team, we had some mutual friends. So when that happened, I reached out and was like, look, we have to do this. So that was the first one. It's been off to the races ever since. I moved to Austin. I just made a year, and I moved here for my last job, not knowing that 6 months later I was going to quit.
Leaving a conventional corporate job, moving into something like this where it's a little more unpredictable and following your dream as opposed to helping build someone else's. So how did that go for you when you finally made the jump? Was it difficult, or did you just know that you were supposed to leave and be doing this?
Well, I'd say both. I mean, it's still difficult, right?
Yeah.
But I knew I felt called, and I did engineering at LSU. Then I was really good at it for a while, and then eventually I was like, I don't really love this. So it just like it became harder and harder for me to give it my all. And then I got into sales when COVID hit, and I was elite at it, and we killed it. And then it started to get burnt out, and I was like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing.
Literally feel that to my core. That's me right now. I'm in sales, and I'm like, dear God, I just want to like podcast full time or do something creative. You know what I mean?
And so it was just one of those things where like people, whenever I go back home, people always tell me like, congratulations. And like, I know that's well intended, and I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for the support. But then I hear it, and I'm a little jaded. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Like it's the hardest, scariest, most stressful thing that you could ever do. You know, I don't have anybody like really looking out for me. If I'm not doing what I need to do, then I'm not putting food on the table.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I never thought that my platform would be used to talk about stuff like that, but it is really exciting to be able to talk about some of those things and what I've done to kind of get through it, and really just to be an example for other people of like, I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm going to go for it. And I'd rather die than not do it.
100% feel that to my core again. And I think it's different, especially people in the older generation don't necessarily understand it. They feel like success, you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, do something conventionally to quantify your success. And so for me, I decided to do door-to-door sales. And everyone was like, what are you doing? Like,
I was in solar for a few
Oh my God,
years.
I do alarms. yeah, that's crazy.
Solar too.
So you get it. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. She almost got abducted doing solar. So
Oh, we were slinging it too.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, I sold the
Gosh.
fuck out of some alarms. I'll tell you that. I built like a junior region, sold like a bunch of accounts, was top rookie, but it's so tough on your mental health. You know what I mean? And I think people would say the same about being an entrepreneur, but I think it's a different type. Because one, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree, but one, again, you're building something for someone else. with this, it's kind of harnessing that and building something for yourself. So with the mental health aspect of it, how do you feel it was for you during doing solar versus this? Do you feel like it's more so worth it with this, or what's the difference?
Well, I mean, I think those kind of problems are always relative.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest difference is, so what I've noticed is as I get more successful, as I get more into the art, as it gets bigger, things can get like a little heavier, a little darker. And I think a lot of that is because I'm just more aware of why I do certain things or why I think a certain way or some of the feelings that I've had. But whenever I look back to the last, let's call it the last 5 or 6 years before I quit my job, right? Nobody believed that I could do it. There weren't too many eyes on me. There wasn't like a ton of pressure. I was just proving people wrong left and right.
Yeah.
But now, anybody that I talk to about it now, they're like, oh, like you actually can do that. And so now it's changed where there are eyes, there are expectation, there is pressure. And, I think I do a good job of just like running my own race. But, things like imposter syndrome and like fear of success and like feeling worthy, I think that's so much more common than I realized, because I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
Until recently. But I think a lot of creatives go through a similar battle.
100%. Yeah. I was talking to Justin Mahaley about that the other day. He does a podcast here as well. And he asked me, he's like, do you ever get imposter syndrome? Do you ever just stand there in front of a group of people and you're talking to them, or you're doing a presentation, or you kind of look around and you're building what you actually wanted and you question, like, how did I get here? Am I doing this right? So I think it's a very real thing. And I think that means that you care. I think it means you want to do a good job if you actually look internally to that level and wonder, do I even belong here? So,
well, and I realized that, I mean, it's just like chemicals in my brain, right? Making me think that.
Yeah.
And I know that you can't fill those kind of things with success. Like doing better and achieving more isn't going to make it go away. I think what I've learned is that it's all about my activity level. So if I'm like every single day doing the little things that I need to do, the quote is, self-love is when you look in the mirror and feel respected. What I try to do is every day, do the little things that when I look in the mirror in the morning when I get up, that like I respect myself. And I think when I do that, it all takes care of itself, because I have a resume of like, look, this is all the things I've been doing. When the imposter syndrome comes, like, nah, like look at my resume.
Yeah, and it compounds. Exactly. Damn, you're great at this. I would buy solar from you. You're doing a great job. Like, I'll take a whole panel. Let's talk about the Kid Laroi. I saw that on your Instagram, right? So you had sent him a DM, and what's the story with that?
So huge fan. I was a big Juice WRLD fan. I think his music's amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
And I'm a big believer in like planting seeds, because they eventually grow. So I had DM'd him in, I think it was in 2020, just like, yo, and I knew he was never gonna see it, right? But that's more like, I believe in manifestation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sent him the DM and it was just like, hey, I'd love to do some art with you one day. And then I think I said, whenever we do it, I'm gonna show you the DM. I guess it was 2022. He had a show in Denver, and I'd hit up his management team, and like they arranged like the meet and greet stuff. So I got to give him a painting and show him the DM that I had sent him 3 years earlier. And I think that's so cool, because it again just shows like I'm doing this because I love it. And I'm not doing it for clout. I'm not doing it for other reasons. And he saw like, oh, this dude didn't just do this from like a couple months ago because I'm popping. Like he wanted to do this 3 years ago.
Yeah, when he was still smaller. And I think that's a real thing too. People can sense that if you're doing it for the right reason. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of fade away and they don't end up making it, because they're doing it for the clout of it all, or just for the wrong reasons, just for the money. I remember when I first started this too, people were like, what's your ultimate goal with the podcast? Do you want to monetize? Do you want to like whatever? And I was like, honestly, I'm just doing it because I enjoy it. And whatever happens from it, that's great. But even if literally nobody watched it ever, I just enjoy doing it, So I completely agree with that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And they say, and it's like cliche, but it's true, but they say, find something to do that you would do for free.
Yeah.
And like, I was doing this for free for a really long time. It took me a long time to get people to pay me to do it.
What do you think is the worst shoe to ever be released in the history of shoes? Like you saw it and you were like, what is this? A disgrace to shoes all over the place.
Oh, somebody asked me this the other day and I had an answer and now I'm like blanking on what it was.
There's been some crazy ones. Like, what was that one? It just came out. It's like a giant red like boot that looks inflatable or something like that.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
So the big red boots, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Actually, I have a pair of those, not to wear, but I'm gonna paint on them.
He's wearing them right now. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna paint on them. So I think they're cool for that. Like, I don't know. I think that it's sad what's happened to the Panda Dunk. Because I thought it was a great shoe. Then they released too many of them.
Yeah.
Now you can't really wear them because you'll be with every other white girl at the place that you're at.
Quite literally.
Damn, I'm really called out right now.
I did in fact have a Panda Dunk too.
Oh, I got the high and the low.
Yeah. I don't anymore. I just put them in the back of my closet. I'm like, maybe someday my kids will want them or something. I don't know. But
I've been trying to put my dad onto sneakers more. He has way better sneakers than I do because he's
like living it up in Miami. Her dad's like on yachts, like living his best. So he has probably like pretty cool sneakers, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we'll do when I go visit is he's just like, okay, what shoes am I going to buy next? So like he just has some Off-Whites, some Amiris, like for a 6-year-old man.
I love that.
He's swagging. So.
What are your recs for her dad?
Yeah.
Like what would you recommend?
I mean, she's hitting them like the Off-White, the Amiri. I'm a big Amiri fan. And so, like, my streetwear style and my sneaker style is like a little bit different. I'm a big Jordans guy. That's what I customize. Sneaker closet's gonna be Jordans. But then like streetwear side, I like to support local stuff too. And like my homies and like people that I see they don't have to be like massive.
Have you ever delivered a shoe to someone and they hated it? No? Never?
I don't miss. Come on.
Hell yeah. We love that. Love that confidence. What do you think you would do if that happened? How would you handle that if you like painstakingly worked on this shoe? And obviously it's like their fault because like you said, you don't miss, your shoes are great. But you deliver it and they're just like, this is the worst shoe I've ever seen in my life. What do you do?
And I just know it so well that I can't give you an answer. I just think it's impossible.
For sure. I love that. Delusional optimism.
Now if very, very delusional.
You have to. No, but I say the same thing about myself, like just delusional optimism. I'm like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm always gonna like be successful. I'll be great. Like that's the only way to be.
Yeah, and I got that from the rapper Russ. Big fan. He talks Russ. About that's my guy. I did a painting for Russ in 2018. That was like the proof of concept. Like, okay, I met one of my favorite artists. I'm gonna take this seriously.
That's sick. Mm-hmm.
But he talks about delusional confidence and delusional belief. To the point where I think delusional is like there's the positive connotation of that word.
100%.
Like I don't see that, and like you call me delusional, I'm like thanks.
Yeah. Well, because like what's the opposite of that? When people say be realistic, why? You know what I mean? I think anyone who says that just isn't capable of seeing a greater vision, and those people are never going to ultimately have the level of success that the most successful people do.
Yeah,
you know.
Like somebody asked me the other day, what would you do if like the art thing didn't work out? And I'm like little Kanye, like. I guess we'll never know.
It can sound like arrogant, I guess, but it's like everything I do is successful. Like I've never failed at anything. I'm gonna be,
if you're giving it 100%, like when was the last time you gave something 100% and it didn't work? That reminds me of like something Kanye would talk about, where it's like imagine a kid jumps on the table and starts dancing. Immediately everybody's gonna like tell him, hey, get down, like you're not supposed to do that. But really a kid being like proud enough to jump on a table and start dancing is a beautiful thing. And I think over our lifetimes, society can place boxes around us and beat us down and whatever. And I think the most beautiful thing about being a creative is that light that we're all born with that sometimes gets dampened a little bit. I'm able to get mine back. Right. But Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Kim Mulkey, I mean, really everybody, especially through LSU. Dave Portnoy. I mean, yeah, they're
sick. I
know
him. Yeah.
I think now the work is undeniable. Like what I'm doing is it's good enough. It's going to work. Now it's just a matter of like learning the business side of it too. So for a long time, I was very much asking the athlete or whoever, what do you want me to do? And now I hope that they don't tell me anything. It's a great compliment to an artist that when they say, just like do what you want. Yeah. Like the LSU football team, when I did the cleats this year with Jaden and them, I asked them if they had any guidance or whatever, and they were like, just do your shit. And that's a great compliment because like any artist can take a commission and paint what somebody wants them to paint. But what's even more special is when you paint what you want to paint and people still buy it. What's the most intricate and expensive shoe that you've ever worked on for somebody? So I went to Surgeon Academy in LA with the surgeon in July, like right after I quit my job. And we learned how to completely reconstruct a Jordan from scratch. So a lot of sneaker customization is you're taking an existing shoe and you're painting on it or doing something to it. Well, with this, you're doing it completely from scratch. So I'm working on something where I cut up a Louis Vuitton bag and I'm making a Jordan out of it. So that's expensive just because the canvas itself.
Was for somebody?
I'm working on it, yeah.
Oh, nice. That's exciting. For me, you shouldn't have. If you yourself were a shoe, what would you be? Like, describe yourself as any type of shoe.
So I'm trying to think of my favorite sneaker right now is. My favorite sneaker right now is probably the Court Purple Jordan 1.
Okay.
I'm just an LSU guy through and through, so like purple kind of dominates my color scheme.
Yeah.
I would be a Jordan 1 for sure.
For sure.
I just think it's the classic. That's always gonna be my favorite.
So you think you're a classic guy?
Yeah. Right? It's like, absolutely. If Bailey and I were shoes separately, you know, what would we be? And if you say a Panda Dunk, I will walk out of the room right now. He's like a white Air Force.
It's like, as I'm wearing them, it's fine.
Well, I'll give her. She could rock the Amiris.
Oh,
I'll take it.
If you know which one I'm talking about. If your dad has them,
like this season of Amiris, or like this season with the stars.
No, sorry, the skeletons.
Bones.
Yeah,
Yes.
the bones are crazy.
Oh yeah,
I will totally take that.
I love
those.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get you some SB dunks for sure.
Okay.
She's like, what are
I'm like, okay, sick. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's a bunch of different ones, but they're like, it's like the dunk, but it's like the skateboard version where they're like a little bit thicker and like a little nicer. They're pretty good.
Big skater gal. Definitely rocked the etnies back in the day. Ever have that phase, would you say? Like in school, little etnie phase?
Or DC phase.
The DC phase?
I broke my thumb on a skateboard when I was in 8th grade, and I was like, I'm done with that.
We were like, that's it. It's like those football players. They're like, I would have made it to pros if I didn't sprain my ankle in the 7th grade. That would have been me. It's like, God, if I didn't just sprain my thumb.
So do you judge girls that you date based on their shoes?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
chunks my New Balances out there. Like, fuck. Just kidding. Go ahead.
I mean, 100%. Like, but I think that's one thing about me too, is like my closet's fire. So like,
say a girl pulls up, y'all are going on your first date, because I want to like expand. I really like that.
I want to go back to it.
I definitely want to know, because I feel like this has happened. So
this has happened to you before?
No, bro. I'm wearing New Balances. It has not happened to me.
You mean just like to him in general with girls?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. For me, like I don't really notice unless someone shows up wearing like a chancla, like a whole sandal. Like I'm a dip. Like, how are you as a man flopping over? Do you know what I mean? Like, if we're in a fight, how are you going to defend me? You know what I mean? Yeah, you just like flop over. The guy's just going to laugh at you, bro. You can't defend me in a street fight. Like, I got to go. So no, I can't say it's happened to me, but I will say like a sandal, like you got to go. Like it's a wrap. I'm turning around expeditiously. But a girl walks up to you. Y'all are meeting for like coffee. And she walks in. What shoes would you deem like, okay, those are like acceptable to move forward to date two? And what shoes are you like, okay, you're cool, but like I can't? Let them know. You know what I mean? They might be listening.
I would think for the most part, it's like less about the sneakers and more about just like the overall like fashion sense.
Gotcha.
How many girls are walking around that know chrome hearts?
Me.
Probably a lot these days. I feel like
okay,
popping like right now. Yes.
Just like streetwear culture that I feel like you either know it and you're into it, or you don't have any idea.
For sure.
I will say though that I think people from Austin, maybe just like this part of the country, they don't really like have that culture as much here, because I'm from New York. My family lives in Miami now. We had like that's important there, but it's not super important here. I saw somebody wearing Kith like a year into living here. Yeah. And I was like, damn, that's the first person I've seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody wearing chrome hearts here. Never seen anybody wearing a Miri.
I went out to bars when I first moved here and people were wearing like a Birkenstock, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's sick, but I was like, damn, because like other cities, they wouldn't even like let you in. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing wrong with that. But I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like,
you can't tell if people on the street or walking around here are homeless, or that's just like the Austin style.
Well, that's so funny because I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and like at my high school, our uniform to school was like khakis, a polo. Yeah. And like Sperry's.
Oh,
like that was our high school like uniform. That's what's so special about like what I'm doing is I've done a complete 180 from everything that I was ever taught. right? Like everything that I do now is so different. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it is like, it's my own because I was put in this direction. It was like with style or with education or whatever, I was pushed in all these areas. And I was given every opportunity to succeed as a kid. I went to a good high school. I went to LSU, got a good degree. My parents helped me and helped lead me certain places. But what I'm doing now is like I ran the opposite way.
How did they feel about that? Were your parents always supportive or were they a little apprehensive of you doing something non-conventional?
So my mom is like pretty much my hero. Like she's a bad bitch. Very successful.
Oh yeah, we love her.
She's beautiful. Yeah. She's always been very, very supportive. Same time, like it's a different generation.
Yeah.
So whenever I was like she just wants the best for me. She wanted me to do engineering. She wanted me to stay with my sales stuff. Now she understands it more so. My delusional self-belief and the reason that I think I had what it took to go out there and do it is because of what my mom instilled in me as a kid. Because she told me that I was good at things and she told me she loved me and that I was that I was on a different path than other people and things like that.
That's amazing. And that makes such a difference, I think. I got like a pre-med degree in college. Don't use it at all. And then again, went into like door-to-door sales. They were kind of scared of that. And then this as well. So I think at this point, kind of the same. They realize, hey, she's going to do it regardless and it's probably going to work out. But I think that's like me and my dad's relationship, like super supportive, really apprehensive because he comes from a different generation. But yeah, I think that's beautiful though. Well, good. We love her. Very sweet.
When I lived in Denver, the last like year that I was there, I was flying out to Austin for 10 days every month and doing solar.
Doing like a mini blitz.
Yeah, the blitz. And then I just got sick of the travel.
Trauma.
I got sick of the travel. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to move to Austin. And I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah.
But we were absolutely murdering it in solar for a while.
Really? What's your pitch?
Wait, what company?
I'll say my pitch.
I was with Lumio.
So
oh, wow.
Bullshit.
That's crazy.
Swear.
Not in Austin.
No, not in Austin.
She had to go to my ghetto hometown.
I went to Corpus Christi.
Oh, no.
It was fucking terrible.
I'm like,
Corpus
whoa, guys.
is fucking brutal.
Okay.
Wait,
it's just I'm like, relax, guys. That's
no, I mean solar there.
No, it is terrible. No, it's actually terrible. Like, there were fights every day in my school. It was very ghetto. Like I had to go through a metal detector to get into my school. Like
I fully
it was terrible,
Corpus
guys.
Christi. It was terrible.
Bro, it's literally the worst place. Like never go there, guys. Like please, for the love of God.
Living in the Motel 6, like casually with my 2 dogs.
I can't believe that.
And a Mormon girl in my
Mormon girl. Of course she was Mormon.
Screaming on the phone to her boyfriend.
Mormons.
Wait, was her dude cheating? He was, huh?
No, he
Those
wasn't.
Mormons are rowdy.
He was such a pussy. He literally would be like, "I'm so sorry, babe. I just ordered you food to the hotel." And he's like on his own butts. Like he is leading a full team. And she's like, "Stop fucking calling me. I'm working." And I'm like,
Jesus. One thing about those Mormons is they will sell some stuff door to door. They really will. Like they found it Vivant.
They do like the
They're primed. They come out of the womb knocking.
They knock their way out. Dude, I sold the shit out of some Vivant when I worked there. Like I was always like top rep. Like my pitch was like elite because they gave us a pitch, but I was like, no. Let me like tweak this and like make it my own. It was really good.
Dude, they would tell they would tell my manager that like they only agreed to have an appointment because I scared them. I was like, Jesus.
Dude, Bailey came to work with me for a little bit at Brinks where I work now. I'll never forget, like one of the first houses we get into, I'm like, we're training. I'm like, okay, Bailey, like if you just make a little bit on this deal, that's okay. No worries, no pressure. She goes in and just bulldozes these people. She's like, once they say yes, she's like, yep. And it's just like $1,000 sign up fee. And then it's going to be a $99 activation. And then it'll just be like $105 a month. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no fucking way. And they're like, oh yeah, that's fair. And I'm like, oh my God. It was like a few grand or something on that deal. I was like, hell yeah.
Bro, and it was like such a broke ass house, no offense.
Well, yeah, we used to like, if there was the house smelled like cat piss, I'm like, I got a deal.
Yeah, seriously.
Hoarders, of course, dude. Hoarder house, yeah.
They're like, the world's ending. Gotta get that solar.
That alarm system, girl. One time I had this hoarder lady. And she let me in. Obviously, I started to sell her. I'm like, bro, she passes credit. It's a wrap. So, which I'm like, that's a big if, girl.
Credit fail.
Yeah. Big fucking if. No, she got a B credit. I was like, fuck, yo, let's go. So I'm sitting down on like a pile of newspaper from like the 80s. And I'm like, okay, signing her up. And I get to her credit card information. I'm like, okay, we just need like a payment method on file. She's like, the elves took it. I'm like, the what? Sorry, what? She's like, there's elves in my walls and they stole my credit card. I'm like, what the fuck, ma'am? What? And she's like, if you can find it, I'll get the system. But like, it's just somewhere in here. They moved it. I was a new rep at the time. And I was like, I'm going to find this Godforsaken card, bro. So I'm rifling through her stuff from like the literal 70s, bro. She has cats. There's litter boxes. There's just all kinds of like items. I didn't find it. I left.
Wait, y'all both did door to door?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I still do.
You do?
Yeah, I still do. It's my like normal human job while I monetize this.
Are you out knocking?
Yeah. No, I literally like, I built a team of like 25, 30 people, junior region.
Kills it.
Yeah, no, dude, I could sell quite literally anybody anything. Like that is a fact. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for that.
Thank you.
It's fucking hard. It gets hot outside.
Dude, I've been chased by pit bulls. I've been screamed at by people in every city you could think of.
What are you selling?
Alarms, security for Brinks. Yeah.
Where
like
at?
Skyline, everywhere. Like me like managing the team, like I pick Blitz locations, right? So I've been to like Oklahoma. I've been to Fort Wayne, Indiana. I've been to like the boonies, bro.
Yo, just Blitz, you're like 9 to 5 it.
Both. So now we're trying to work more in market, but last year it was all Blitzes. So I worked like 20-hour days. I was like never here. I was constantly traveling all over the place, like building the team, running sales meetings. It was gnarly. Like it was crazy. And it was worth it. Like it was the most money I've made. But at the same time, like your mental, like when you finally take a second, it's tough.
Well, we were doing 10-day Blitzes, but it was really difficult for me to go like balls to the wall for 10 days in solar.
Yeah.
And then come back and try to do my art stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like a very different things.
Yeah.
You know? So the back and forth, eventually I was just like, dude, I can't do this.
Yeah, dude. It can be very mentally draining. Do you feel that like the mental state from door to door and kind of getting yelled at by customers or whatever that might be and just the pressure of it all affected your creativity when it came to the art?
So I think like the door to door, the solar thing was such a massive blessing.
Yeah.
Because like our mantra was, stay at level 5, right? Well, you're getting every range of the human emotion every day, right? The despair and then like the thrill of the close and all that stuff. And if you learn how to deal with that and stay level, that's huge. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yep.
And then I look at everything. I mean, everything's a door knock, right? Now, you might not actually be in someone's neighborhood doing it, but me trying to get Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's cleats for the Super Bowl, I got to knock on that door.
Yep.
I gotta hit him up, and you got to be able to put yourself out there. So I think that side of it just applies to anything, and I can't say enough of what it did for me, just like personally, but then also with my art stuff. Because at the end of the day, I'm still in sales with my art, right? I'm selling my art.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it makes you fearless. Like nothing can phase you if you've done door to door. So like you said, approaching anyone, just cold calling anyone, it's pretty much nothing in comparison. And they say, I don't remember who says this, but sales is the transfer of energy. And I tell my reps that all the time. And I think that translates to a lot of things as well. So
yeah, if you just act like you're the expert in something, the other person doesn't know any different. They're like, okay, yeah.
I had no idea.
Especially like you said, when you're taking creative control of whatever you're bringing to the customer, if you just act like you are the guy, you will deliver like anything better than they could come up with. They're going to trust you.
Yeah. Our pitch is part of it is we're the alarm manager, and they're like, the what? I'm like, the alarm manager. Hello, like you don't know.
Oh my god!
Obviously, I manage the alarms. Like
and like solar, you're like, we're I don't know.
Is it like the net metering or something?
Yeah, we're just doing all the projects in your neighborhood.
Doing all the projects.
Yeah, they're like what? Who?
Well, it's like the preoccupation break is like supposed to confuse them a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're doing all the net metering. It's like, the what?
Yeah. You're like, oh, you don't know.
Take me around to the side of your house and let me look at that thing.
Oh, you poor thing. Just take me around. Just let me see. Yeah.
Y'all asked me earlier if there was like a project where I felt like I had like kind of made it, whatever. Yeah. One of the ones I didn't think I worked with Libby Dunn.
Oh, okay. I saw that on your Instagram.
I was thinking, I was like, who would they know that I've worked with?
Yeah.
It's like less the athletes, but her.
Yeah.
That was really cool because she had hit me up like a couple years ago, and then just like timing and whatever else. But that was like a pretty big time one.
That's sick.
And it just shows just like proof of concept wise that like someone with that level of a platform and whatever, who she's unbelievable, by the way, like super sweet and humble and amazing. but would really just like resonate with like what I'm doing. And then as far as like where I'm trying to head with it is as I'm trying to put out clothes, like clothing is hard. Like streetwear is hard.
Yeah.
There's so many people trying to do it. It's so saturated. But that is where I see like myself able to make money doing it, is because like the margins are better. I don't have to touch every piece.
Yeah.
When I get a cosign like that, it's when it's like, okay, I got to get my clothes into the hands of these people, and they already. I feel like I quit my job in July. I'm at day 0 now, or day 1, so I'm like just getting started. But if I can already get it into people like that, then I think it can really work out.
Yeah. Is there anyone who inspires you design-wise? Like, I know obviously Pharrell has done collabs. Obviously there's Kanye who has his clothing and shoes and everything like that. Is there anyone that you look up to or kind of feel that you're similar to style-wise? Yeah,
so my biggest inspiration, so there was an artist in Baton Rouge named Jacob Zumo. Shout out my boy Jacob. World class. He did a painting in 2012 that he gave to Mac Miller.
Oh wow.
And I saw that and I was like, dude, I can paint. Like, I want to do stuff like that. So shout out to Jacob. I wouldn't be doing art if it wasn't for him. My style stuff, my favorite is Kid Super. By far, hands down. If you don't know it, you should know it. The pants I'm wearing right now.
Love that.
But it's like 75% of my wardrobe, pretty much. But I think what's so special about what they did is, so they, kind of like Pharrell, Column of Kid Super was tapped to be the head designer for the men's line for the Louis Vuitton Paris Fashion Week show.
Ooh.
That only happens if you're like fashion royalty.
Yeah.
But these are kids from Brooklyn who started selling t-shirts out of their high school. So it just like shows what is possible. And then he's an artist, so he paints first and foremost. And then he takes the art and puts it on the clothes. And I mean, they put out sweatsuits that I think it's the most fly thing I've ever seen. So they're unbelievable because they've had a big impact on me as far as like my style. It's like anytime I wear a Kid Super anywhere, I have people coming up to me and
like, what is that? Yeah.
What is it? You know, and that's really cool because I want to be that at some point where I'm wearing my own stuff and people come up and ask me that.
I'm sure they will. What's that story? I'm trying to think of who the brand is. I bet you would know. And it was like probably like, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, and they became massive. But they started a brand. Nobody knew what it was. But they had all their friends call around to stores and say, hey, are you carrying this brand? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I'm not sure which brand it was.
I'm trying to think who it was, but I've heard the story. And I guess through doing that, finally the buyers were like, who is this brand? So then eventually they reached out to the buyers, already knowing the infrastructure was kind of set. And when they did, the buyers were like, oh, I've heard of you. Like, come in, let's buy some of your stuff. Let's do a test. And they just kind of grew that way. And they ended up getting really big. I don't remember who the brand is. But I thought that was really sick though.
Yeah. And it's really crazy to be doing Louis Vuitton as just a kid from Brooklyn. They're unbelievable.
Would you ever want to do something like that? Or if you could, which brand would it be with? If you could collab with a brand like Louis Vuitton or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, like as far as the designer stuff, Louis is my favorite one.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a long time down the road. I'm focused on the things that I'm doing now, but at the same time, like with the belief that I have, like it's not impossible.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Like stranger things have happened for sure.
100%. What advice would you have for young and aspiring designers who maybe think they have to take the conventional route and are scared to take the leap into doing something a little more unconventional and scary?
Yeah, that's the thing that I think I take the most pride in is I want to be somebody for the younger kids out there, like Jacob was for me, or like Kid Super has been for me, where it's like, dude, I'm not gonna do what they tell me to do. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And I think the biggest thing is just to, find something, like I said earlier, that you would do for free, because you got to really love it, because it is hard. I mean, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'm in the middle of it right now. Like I'm in the thick of it being hard, and I'm trying to pay my bills and I'm trying to make it work. But I also felt like a little bit like I didn't really have another choice.
Sure.
So as courageous as I've been, it was also out of necessity.
Yeah.
Because there was a long period of time where I was lost and where I was kind of miserable. And I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. So, I hope to be that example. And I would say just, you got to find something that you truly love. One of my buddies made a joke the other day that like what I'm doing as my career now is like what I would do at recess as a kid at school.
Yeah.
And it's so cliche, but it's true. Of like the money will come, and money is not really even like that important. We were just talking about door to door, right? I made a lot of money in solar. And the more money I made, it wasn't like I was getting happier.
Exactly.
I was getting pushed to, I just want to do art. And I think sometimes you have to make money in order to realize that it's not all about that. And I see my business becoming a $10 million business, like without a doubt.
100%.
And that's just, it's a matter of when, not if. And I just got to keep doing what I got to do every day. So really, I think I'm so lucky that I have found my thing and my purpose and my passion. So I would just encourage people to try to find that. I know it's hard to do.
I mean, it is, but I think it kind of finds you sometimes. Like, also sounds cliche and cheesy, but like the way the podcast came about, or like kind of the way that came about for you, I feel like it just kind of happens when it's meant to. And then as long as you lean into it, because I think a lot of people ignore it. They might find that thing, but they're like, oh, that's not realistic. It's not feasible. I can't, that's not profitable. So I think as long as when it hits, you lean into it and put everything you have into it, you'll be fine,
Yeah, life happens to you or it happens for you. And that's depending on where you're at mentally and if you're allowing those things to happen or not.
Agreed.
And I'm getting some little butterflies tattooed on my hand. One of them's gonna be open, one of them's closed. Because you don't know, you could shake somebody's hand and it could change everything. And it's depending on if you're open or if you're closed to it.
Exactly.
But like with butterfly effect and with things happening for a reason, I think everything happens for a reason with a little asterisk by it. Like as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, like you can't be a jackass all the time.
100%,
be like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. No, my dad and I talk about this often. It's like, even if you're a cashier at like Buc-ee's, you know what I mean? But you go in there with the worst attitude and you're like, oh my God, I hate my life. I hate my job. This sucks. What if one day a CEO walks in there to buy something, he's at the register and you have a terrible attitude, he's just going to leave. But if you have a great attitude, he's going to be like, wait, have you ever thought of doing sales? You should come. You never know like when you're going to meet that person. So I completely agree.
And I just think it's the mindset of gratitude and abundance and like just being open to things. Another piece of advice for the kids out there is like being a yes person. And I don't mean like saying yes to other people.
Yeah.
I mean saying yes to yourself and saying yes to opportunities. Because I think a lot of people are scared to ever get started. But I've said yes to a lot of things for a long time.
Yeah.
I think the thing that differentiates me from everybody else, so the analogy I'll use is like, there's a ton of people that are great singers. There's a lot of them. But there's not a lot of people who are great singers and can write a hit song. I write hit songs. Like I have the ideas. And I think there's a lot of stuff that I haven't even been able to execute on because I'm not good enough yet. But I get better every time I do it.
Yeah.
And the ideas are there. So with time, the execution will be there. But as far as like the cleat side of it, everything now is cut and sew. So I was painting for a long time. But now all the top guys, whether it's Surgeon or Coda Customs or Sean Vergara, they're taking like a base cleat and they're stitching on top of it so it keeps the integrity. But some of the stuff they're doing is just outrageous.
Yeah.
So I'm going more on the fashion and the sewing and the clothes side of it. And that's where I hope to take it.
Nice. Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram. It's at get.like.mike. Came up with that whenever I was like 15.
Love that.
But it works.
Yeah.
And then the website's a little under construction, but bootupcustoms.com. I'll have that up first week of April.
Nice. Well, we can't wait to watch the journey, continue to see you grow, and we really appreciate you being here. And you guys already know Bailey and myself. Our girl's prepping for a show, so stay tuned for that as well.
Just gonna dwindle over here, but it's fine.
You see her withering away, it's okay. It's for a purpose. He's gonna kill it. But until next time, you guys don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Love you so much. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.